Hi there. I just woke up from a nap. So I didn't sleep a lot last night, and yes, so I haven't done much today. I thought it was a nice day to take a bit of rest because it was raining this morning. But I will take the time to show you what's been going on and what I've been up to this week and what's happening with my babies. But before that, I have to show you my the cherry tree because they're pretty much getting ready now, and every time I just walk over to them and just have a little feast. What I love to do is take like 4 or 5 of them and just put them all in my mouth. Maybe not 4 or 5, but I'm hearing gunshots at the end of the garden, so I'm kind of worried about that. I don't like that so much, and I just want to check that they're not doing anything in my place. This is I'm walking through what I call the preservation garden. It's about half of the property, and it's a space where I'm hoping to pretty much keep nature the way it was intended to be. We're just kind of helping it along, caretaking it as you speak, and planting, injecting into it like medicinal plants and herbs and even food, but not really taking care of it, letting it kind of create its own balance. There's already an incredible biodiversity here. There's wild asparagus, there are all kinds of flowers and wild roses and different things. So it's quite a magical place, and I've cut paths through it so that you can just walk through it. It's a little bit like in Jurassic Park, you can walk through it, but you don't actually touch the nature itself, so you don't interfere with anything too much. And there will be artistic installations, the bee room, different pieces of sculpture and surprises as you turn a path, and so that's the idea. And when you get to the end of the garden, there's a untouched forest, which is where I was scared that they would be, but it doesn't seem like they're actually here. It's further away. The gunshots carry very far in the sound. This is a ginkgo, which it suffered a little bit from the deer, but so we protected it. But it's one of the rare plants that I actually planted here. I planted a few trees, bring in some trees, and I'll be planting more things later. I love to be able to just walk through the garden and take something wild and eat it. This is a wild asparagus. It's really delicious. It has incredible texture. You can eat it raw like this, or very lightly steam it. It's very good. I have a lot of oak trees as well, which are just grown spontaneously over the last 10 years, and they've become quite big. Look at this one. It's very vigorous and doing really well. And I want to look into it because you never think about it, but it actually can be a source of food. The acorns can be eaten. So I'm looking into that because the Indians cultivated them really for food. And I think that's quite interesting. This is a prune tree which is just covered with prunes. The little babies, they're green now, but they're going to be, not prunes, plums. It's going to be covered. It's really a year for fruit this year. But you're probably wanting to know what's happened with my babies, and they're really not babies anymore. Everything's starting to really grow. I'll take you to the greenhouse first because there's still some babies there, and it's becoming really abundant and luscious, I would say. So let's have a look. So look at that, isn't it? It's very different from a few months ago. You can see how it's developed, how the pois gourmand, the peas are becoming really huge. Every day practically I'm taking some. There's a tomato here which grew by itself and now it has flowers, so it'll be soon giving fruit. And the clematis, I think you say, is gorgeous. Look at that blue. In the second room we have the coriander is getting really great. I took about half of it this morning, so for some dishes I made some Indian dishes which I used it on. And the aloe vera is starting to do well again. I planted some kiwano, which is I'm looking forward to seeing. It's kind of like some kind of extraterrestrial fruit between a melon and a cucumber with spikes. These are some aubergine eggplants. Planted 2 different varieties inside the grass house just to make sure that it works. This is the other one, Violetta differenze. And I also planted some outside. It's another variety of aloe vera. Apart from that, I put a little bit of order at the end of the greenhouse with all the babies, trying to kind of organize it a little bit and get ready to plant more. Little by little, I'm planting them and keeping the extra ones to put down in that conservation garden, the preservation garden that I showed you earlier. If you watched my video last week, where I showed how to plant the sweet potatoes, you can see now that the sweet potatoes they're doing okay. They haven't really grown much, but they're definitely alive, and they forgave me for all their mistreatment, which is lucky for me. I'm hoping that they'll kind of push forward soon so that I'll be able to plant them outside. In the vegetable patches, I haven't planted anything new since last week because I was away for a few days. But everything's doing pretty well. Some things the smaller seedlings that I planted out, they were a little too fragile and I should have watered them a little bit more. You need to do that in the beginning just to make sure that they get their roots really well. Afterwards, you shouldn't water them too much because they need to go really down, but they need a little help in the beginning. They're babies, right? This is a celery plant from last year that I've let it go to seed because I'm thinking I'll be able to get the seeds, and I've just seen, look what I've seen here. Our friend, the coccinelle, or the ladybird. So that's always a good sign when you see a ladybird because they eat the bad bugs. Well, bad or just the ones that eat our food. Yes, last week I didn't talk about the voilage. I don't know what you call it. It's like a little blanket that I put on. It keeps just a little bit warmer. It protects them also from the birds and from the insects. And it was an interesting thing. I tried it out with the corn and some of the squash here, and I also tried it on the other side with again the yellow corn this time, and quinoa and peas and stuff. And I thought that might be an interesting way to protect them because I used, as I talked about, the netting, which was a real bother. I thought this might be an interesting way to do it. So I think here's the moment of truth. You can just weigh them down with some pieces of wood. You can use it again. It can be used over a few years. It's very thin and lets water through and the light through. You see, so I'm just going to pull it off and we'll see what's happening underneath. I was discovering it with you, as you can see. This looks like it's worked really well for the corn. That was a really good idea. However, for the squash, it wasn't a good idea, and I can kind of imagine why. It probably squash family, cucurbitaceae, they don't like humidity, you know, they don't like getting their leaves wet. So I think this was definitely not a good idea. I hope he'll be all right. You can see this kind of mold on the leaves. I'm gonna get rid of those, and we'll see what happens in the week now that it's left open to the air. Hopefully it will do better. Yeah, yesterday I took off the covers that I had on them of the kale and the cabbage and the watermelon. This is the watermelon and the cabbage, which is doing pretty good. And further along you have the kale starting, which is also doing well. It's been eaten by a few insects. I think it's insects, I'm not really sure, but it'll be okay. You have to kind of trust, I guess, that they'll get some of them, but they won't get all of them. And hopefully the balance will come in when I start planting more and more flowers. Very nice addition that I've seen growing literally in the last week is these artichokes which have come up, which are just gorgeous. So I'm looking forward to eating those. There's like 3 for each one. And yeah, they've been also attacked a little bit by some black flies, but I got rid of most of them by giving it a good hose down yesterday, and I'll do that a few times again, and we'll see what happens with that. Oh yes, and take a look at this one of the apple trees. It's also really abundant already. I mean, this is just the beginning, so afterwards I'll clear them out a bit so I get bigger ones. So so I don't have too many, and I prefer to have a little less but nice big juicy ones. But it's definitely well on the way. When I see some suspicious diseased ones or something, I just pick them off and throw them far away. I'm hoping that will help as well. So that brings it to pretty much of an end for this time. Thank you for being here. And I've been I was in Paris this week. I went to do some appointments and see some people. It's very strange. It's the déconfinement, as we say in French. It's a deconfinement. It's the end of these 2 months where we had, some could say a blessing, some could say it was a torture. And it was strange to go to Paris. It was kind of weird. There were a lot less cars, no tourists. It was actually quite pleasant to be around. I have a friend here. And but I was kind of uncomfortable wearing a mask all the time, and I was very happy to be able to come back here and realize that I've really made the right choice. I've also been thinking a lot about the idea of culture, because this is actually an artistic project here at La Ferme des Lettres. The idea is that I want to create an art center. So I'm not a farmer. I love gardening and I love plants, and my art will be very connected with that. And I think it's interesting that culture, you cultivate vegetables as much as you cultivate yourself. And I think it comes from the idea that humans needed to be able to eat before they could start to kind of take the time to think about higher things. First you have to eat. I've had when you don't have food on your table, then you can't really start thinking all kinds of lofty ideas, although that would be the ideal thing to do. So I'm trying to retrace somehow the human history of first being able to nourish myself and those around me, those I love, those I care about, share it. And then afterwards to be able to cultivate my mind and my spirit and create art that makes you think about all of that. That's what I'm hoping to do. So I'm happy if you can follow my adventure. If you ever feel like coming to see me, you're more than welcome. Just get in contact and make an appointment and pop on over. I'm going to leave you with this magnificent view that's behind me. It's really incredible, and I'm so lucky to have it every time. It's just different and beautiful, and that's why I think it's a nice way to end the program. And feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel, this novelty, and leave a comment also, because it's always interesting to hear what you have to say, and I'm open to any advice or criticism and any ideas that you might have that might be interesting for me and for everybody. Take care and hope to see you next week.